everyone, we're here to play with blooms because of course I'm start blooming, and I mixed up about 3 ounces of resin. I think that's what will work with this mold. I am using craft resin. It's a 1-to-1 resin, low viscosity. I've got something in my mold. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do after I get this hair out of my mold. There we go. You may not know, but I started with balloons. I started with a friend of mine, and we started doing resin, and we made scenes, and then I saw Pouring Your Heart Out videos, and I was like, oh, I want to do a bloom. So for like 3 months straight, I drove my friend Joyce nuts because all I would do were blooms, and then I taught a class on it. And I have been in love with balloons ever since. I just kept doing them over and over and over again, all different ways, anything I could think of to make a bloom look cool. And every once in a while I say, let's do more blooms. You would think I'd be sick of them by now, but I'm not. I love them. So I'm going to put 1 ounce of resin in this cup. And then I'm going to pour the rest in this mold. Let's see. You don't want to pour too much into your mold because your white might sink. You just want to give it a layer. If you're doing a 3D bloom, you might want a little more resin, but they all really love about the same amount of resin. I have a little extra in my cup. I might pour a little more in here. My resin is warm. It's been sitting here for some time. It is at 32 degrees Celsius. About 34 is where I want to be for this bloom. I have new alcohol inks because my son ordered them for me for Christmas. I have Octopus Fluids Carrot, Navy, and Berry Juice, and I think I might have one of their alcohol inks that I've used before, so I haven't seen these colors, don't know what they're going to do yet, so this should be fun. I always love trying new things and new colors. So let's go ahead and start. Let's do carrot first. I always like to do the lighter colors in the center because the bloom seems to pull towards the center, so it gets dark. Next, let's do berry juice and see what that looks like. Oh, that's pretty, isn't it? And then navy. I'm really excited to look at what navy looks like. If I love it, I'm going to do some coasters for my house with it. The great thing about quality alcohol inks is that they last longer. Alcohol inks tend to fade naturally. So the ones with more dye in them tend to last a little bit longer. The color sticks around a little bit more. All right, let's mix up our white. I'm going to do probably 6 drops of my casting craft. And it goes very slow. It comes out slow to start. I haven't broke the bottle yet. Usually I get impatient and I mess up the bottle so it comes out faster. Cut it with scissors or do something to it so that it does what I want faster. I'm always in a hurry. Well, looks pretty good, right? Make sure it's mixed well, and I'm going to put it in my piping bag. When I started, I wouldn't use piping bags, and then I just figured it just works easier with a piping bag. Some people could use those little cups and pour it perfectly. Not me. All right, so let me get my piping bag out of here. Got my camera a little low, so I'm not going to do this right in front of the camera, but got my piping bag out. Not a twist. I have some ideas for a new bloom that I hope to do maybe tomorrow, a new bloom design. I'm excited about it, but I didn't want to try it tonight. I just want to do a normal little bloom. All right. So this is the very simple bloom. Anybody could do this bloom. And it's just the spiral bloom. Just want to make sure you put a thick enough layer so that it does bloom and have somewhat defined petals. Again, this is just a simple, easy bloom. Oops, I shook a little bit. There we go. Didn't go out as far on there, so I wanted to make the sides more even. That's why you saw me do the little bloop out. All right, so now for the simple design, something just easy that anybody can do. It's the ins and the outs. Ins and outs. I always do them across from each other so I could try to make it somewhat even. Sometimes my hand shakes, but it's okay because flowers aren't perfect and I'm not perfect either. On my last big bloomy piece, I always do my spiral. You don't want to spin your spiral too much, and you don't want your spiral to be too big in the center. It's an art, just the spiral itself. All right, and now I want to do some outs. I'm not going to go all the way back to the center for my outs. Just a little halfway thing. Now some people will like shake it or do a what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit of curve or S in their outs or ins or whatever they want. There's so many things that you could do with this to make it cool and make it your own. But this is just a very simple bloom. All right, I am going to put a center, and I have a bunch of bits and bobs. I have gold glass chunks, blue glass chunks, some of these mini glass beads of all different sizes from Laura's Art Corner. So I'm just going to do that. I wanted something with a lot of different colors because this is kind of colorful. I have my handy dandy little scoop, and I'm going to put about 1/3 into the scoop, but I may not use all of that. I'm going to stand up to see if I'm actually in the center, which sometimes I'm not. Oh, a little high, I think. What do you guys think? Is it a little high? Sometimes I move it and I move it wrong. All right, so that's it. Now, you can use your torch to get bubbles out. Don't use alcohol spray if you're using alcohol inks. And I don't think you want to use your heat gun because that might blow your bloom around. So a torch is the best way for bubbles. But if you're using a great resin, I have found that you really don't, oops, sorry, knocked the camera. You don't really need to do that. Now, the other word of caution about blooms, if you let your resin get very warm, your bloom won't bloom. And the way to compensate for that would be to use your heat gun, let it warm up a little bit, and then go around your pattern until the resin starts to warm up. And you can tell, if your resin's already moving, your bloom's gonna be fine. If when you start with the heat gun, your bloom isn't moving, that's when you know, hey, this was a smart idea to use this heat gun because I need to loosen this resin up, lessen the viscosity so my bloom can move. All right, well, that's it for now. We'll be back. Maybe I'll back it on my own. Maybe I won't. I'll surprise us both. Anyway, I'll see you back. All right, we are back to back this. I went ahead and mixed up 3 ounces of resin and divided it amongst these 3 cups. I put an ounce in each cup. In my first cup, I mixed our berry juice and Let's Resin silver mica powder because I wanted to give it some extra shimmer. In my next cup, I mixed some Resin Ink Aster because I wanted a little bit of a darker color. And so I mixed this up. You'll see it's very dark. And then in my last cup, I have my white, my Shiro white from Eye Candy, because I am going for the crackle effect, but I am using some glitter in this, so I'm not 100% sure how it will act or behave, but we'll see. So first I'm going to pour this in the mold, our shimmeries. And I'm going to pour a little different this time because I don't have a lot of resin. If I had a ton of resin to work with, then I would pour differently, but I really want the white to make it to the edge. And in order to do that, I'm going to pour the white around the edge. So here's our white. So this is going to be different than our usual customary type pours. And I'm poured a little too much in the beginning. Making a bit of a mess. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's see if we can get a little bit more out. All right, and last, I'm gonna try to pour in the center my aster. And you could see it wasn't gonna push the white out very far, which is why I changed how I poured this. All right. Now, resin is going to do its thing. It's going to cook. They're going to go together, how they're going to go together. So I'm not too worried about the messiness of this. I think it'll be fine. So that's all I'm going to do with it. And when it's ready to unmold, we will be back to do it. See you then. All right, let's see how this worked out. I do love this side. Oh, wow. Look how pretty.